Welcome to the elimination round of round 2 of the EU bracket of the Star-Crossed Cup. We have Coh2 and Sarantini up against Sib and Ciez. Coh2 and Sarantini playing as mixed allies once again. Same base positions as before. Hopefully they'll have a little more success, Sarantini in particular with his US Forces play. And we have mixed axis in the north base from Sib and Ciez. And we'll see what they're planning to do. We actually have double combat engineers from Coh2 straight into a penal battalion, so I think that's exactly what he did in round 1, actually. We also have double riflemen from Sarantini. No big surprise there. Siberian going once again with double grenadiers. Ciez going with his Volksgrenadiers into Kubelwagen, so very faithfully sticking to their builds from previous rounds. Probably going to be seeing a lot of Panzer Fusiliers from Ciez, if I had to guess, based on what I've seen, and I am also expecting to see 4 Grenadiers from Siberian. Probably not even going to get an MG42, probably, and then following up with Panzer IVs into Tiger Ace. But we'll see if he wants to change things up. Tiger Ace certainly didn't pay off very much for him in his game against All Stars, but maybe it'll perform better for him here. And we actually have some early barbed wire going down over here on the left side. Interesting placement. Looks like he's trying to force infantry to path closer to the road in order to get through. And I think that this is actually because he likes to keep... the very first time I saw him on this map, he put the Pioneers directly in the building and kind of left them there for a while. So I think he wants vision over this whole area to see what his opponent is doing. And rather than just sort of sitting in the building, sitting in this area, he can actually plant some barbed wire while he's scouting and waiting for Grenadiers to show up. So I think that's what motivated that. Interesting play. Meanwhile, over here on the right side, we do have Stern Pioneers moving up with Kubel. A bit of an engagement over here, but those combat engineers are going to be forced away. We also do have rear echelon troops from Sarantini taking the fuel, and Coh2's scout car actually moving up to help counter the Kubelwagen, I believe. But once again, I think Coh2 kind of struggles to micro a little bit in the early stages of the game when he sends his scout car over there on the right side, but his infantry is kind of milling around over here on the left. It can be rather difficult to manage so many things all at once. We actually have a tank trap being constructed here for cover. Grenadiers will be forced away by those riflemen and scout cars. Stern Pioneers are in green cover though, so they may be a little bit difficult to unseat, especially with the Kubelwagen moving up to support. There are, however, penals in the church, making this a pretty dangerous area. Ooh, those rifles almost go down though, attempting to charge. Kubelwagen continuing to move around and reposition, will get forced away by these combat engineers. Meanwhile, on the left, it looks like Siberian has a pretty firm hold on the left once again. Like I said, this build that he's constantly using 4 Grenadiers does give him a lot of early map control if his opponent doesn't fight him, really. Usually, as allies, you kind of expect an austere player to go with an MG42 instead of more of a defensive line and not really contest your territory too hard, and Coh2 therefore kind of moving around, helping his teammate over on the right side, hoping that the left side won't get harassed too much, but that's just not how Siberian plays. He just makes a bunch of Grenadiers and just keeps walking all over the territory, and if left unopposed, there's just nothing stopping him from taking their munitions point, taking their victory point over there on the left. So it becomes really important for the Allies to win the fight over here on the right. Fortunately, it looks like that's happening. The scout car has pushed away some stuff over there. It's getting repaired. Lots of Allied infantry putting some damage down on these squads in the house. Riflemen moving up to capture the point even directly adjacent to the base. So Allied map control is certainly not bad by any means. But it looks like they are getting pushed back now. Should be able to escape without any particularly severe losses. Unfortunately, the Allies did get bled a little bit throughout that, whereas it looks like Civ has still only taken 1 casualty on 1 Grenadier squad. Ciez is probably not faring quite so well, having taken casualties on multiple Volksgrenadiers, but it's certainly not the end of the world. That being said, I think that the Allies have very nice map controls. Siberian was really kind of forced to come support his teammate against that coordinated Allied push, and now Coh2 will be able to take the left side unopposed. Volks Grenadiers getting forced away by a lieutenant hitting the field. We also have engineers inside of the scout car. Not entirely certain if there's going to be a flamethrower on them. No. Looks like the munitions have been spent on this flamethrower already, so no flamethrower in the scout car. He wouldn't really be able to close in particularly close anyway. Against this many Grenadiers, there's pretty much bound to be a Faust no matter what he tries to do. Oh, we actually have an M20 hitting the field though. That's a 5-minute, 30-second M20 roughly. Pretty good timing. Should be able to do some good damage to that Kuba wagon. He also convinced the Siberian to utilize the Panzerfaust on him, so that's a great way to sort of bleed your opponent's munitions. To just kind of pop in and out and force him to. Wow, what are they doing? Force him to fire a Faust that you won't go in like super hard or inflict too much bleed and put too many losses. So you can kind of drain your opponent's munitions by doing that. Needs to repair it though. It's kind of just sitting there. Meanwhile, over here, some Grenadiers forced away some combat engineers. These penal battalions are already pretty wounded, so they're not gonna be able to do too much without support. There is a scout car on the way, which with these infantry squads certainly should be able to maintain their hold on the left side fuel. Some mines going down here, Teller mines. A little bit early and a little bit far forward for those Teller mines. If the scout car, for example, were to hit that, that would kind of suck. It'd almost be kind of a waste of those Teller mines. So much munitions just to blow up a scout car. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't be a waste. Maybe that would be okay. There are 2 scout cars. It's just kind of a lot to take out a scout car, that's all. But we'll see what happens. His opponent actually did see him plant that mine. So he may try to sweep it up. There's actually a 222 on the field, trying to do what it can. Oh, one of the scout cars goes down. It sustained almost no damage really. The machine gun on the scout car it has pretty good penetration. Oh, and the smoke actually causes it to retarget the penal battalion for a minute there. So it looks like that scout car will be able to get away. Although he does need to be careful. Of course, the fact that his opponent went penal battalions instead of conscripts does mean that there's not going to be very many AT grenades on the field, but there will apparently be guards, as he's now picked a commander, and he's going to be going with T-34-85s, which I believe he did in previous rounds, so no big surprise there. Meanwhile, Ciez is constructing his Schwer Panzer HQ here behind the church. He still has his Kuba wagon. It's up to Vet 1 defending, doing a good job of shutting down pretty much all attempts by the American to do much of anything. And if we take a look at Sarantini, I think he lost his... Oh no, he didn't. Here it is. His utility car is apparently working the middle now. He has not found an opening where he could take out that Kuba wagon. I think he definitely had the chance here while Siberian was kind of preoccupied over there on the left. I think he had an opening, but now that the Schwer HQ is up, that opening is pretty much gone. And that Kuba wagon is going to be pretty much free to bully him, and it's so important to destroy the Kuba wagon as soon as your M20 hits the field. And if you can't do that, then you can just bully you all game long. Conscripts in cover here.
Enemy infantry! Enemy infantry!
And they get forced away by Volks Grenadiers and other things. American Sarantini trying to retain control of the cutoff here. Really struggling for resources at this point, with the Axis holding both munitions points and the Allies actually controlling the flanks. So that's good for their fuel control at the very least. But in general, they don't have a very good map presence. They really need to get control of at least one of those munitions points. Or they're really going to struggle. The riflemen getting forced away. This tank trap is really not enough of a defensive position to deter pushes even by those light vehicles. But we do have paratroopers getting called in. Probably going to see LMGs upgraded on them soon.
The enemy is overrunning one of our capture points.
And we have quite a push of infantry going for the left side cutoff, it looks like, coordinating their attack over there. They know that there's not really that much defending, so that will give them control of the munitions, and at least one strategic point here, probably also going to get control of this strategic point with this guard squad. Guards is a little bit overextended though. Seems weird to use guards to harass when you could just send combat engineers or something like that. They won't be able to participate in engagements here in the middle where they might be better used against the scout car.
Bust out the metal, boys! Promotion just came through! Our capture point is being overrun. Find cover! Find cover!
Oh, I think that was I think that might have been a Soviet mine that just got hit by something. I'm not sure what exactly happened there. Oops.
Orders!
222 moving up, going in hard on that lieutenant. Gets a little too close to those guards in the M3 though. And it does go down. Oversoldat, and we're also following behind, but taking a lot of damage from those airborne carbines, and they're going to be forced to retreat. Meanwhile, a bit of a push by Folks Grenadiers over here. I think that one could go either way. Actually, with this penal battalion moving up to support, that MMG is gonna need to set up pretty much right now. Guards also contending with Grenadiers over here. And we also have Riflemen getting cut down by some Grenadiers in that building, which I hope he notices in the midst of all these other engagements. I think that he could lose that full squad if he's not careful. The M1919 does complete on these paratroopers. Oh, pack moving up, move your utility car. Oh, he must not be able to see it. It is sitting right in the arc of fire though. Fog of War definitely just saved him there. And it looks like this engagement did go to Ciez, popping out Fallschirmjäger to support, and I think he also landed a few grenades. In fact, I can't really tell which ones are grenade splats and which ones are Panzerschreck splats, but I think he threw a grenade in there to help him. We also have Lux moving up, taking actually a little bit of damage from guards in green cover over here. Penal Battalion also trying to put some flamethrower damage on the pack, screening for the scout car to make its escape. And the guards over here doing what they can to prevent harassment of the left side fuel, and Sarantini is doing his best to grab control of the cutoff back, force away Ciez's Folks Grenadiers, and grab the right side territory.
Here. Sherman ready. What the hell am I meant to do with these recruits? Green is green. Well, grab your shit and follow me.
And we do see a Lux on the field from Ciez, so that will be his very first fuel purchase coming out right after a couple of Obersoldaten out of his Schwer Panzer HQ. But it looks like the Allied fuel control has been pretty good, and we will see a Sherman on the field to counter that already, even at the 13-minute mark. So that's actually quite an early Sherman. Sarantini had a huge impact last time he was on this map and rushed to Sherman. He was able to really dominate with it for several minutes, although he wasn't as aggressive with it as he could have been. Hopefully he won't make the same mistake twice. Hopefully he'll go in hard and take out some of these Axis vehicles. This is a good start. Kugelwagen instantly goes down, but unfortunately there is a shoe mine right there, and he's going to have to pull back and get the engines repaired. But I would say that the Sherman made a pretty decent entrance, taking out that Kugelwagen in one shot. Lieutenant moving up to take the munitions point. Unfortunately, this green cover is not as green as it could be. And even when standing in it, it seems like squads die just as fast as they would in the open for some reason. Which is just kind of the nature of all of these, like these round sandbag positions. It just seems to be the way infantry stand in front of them, and maybe even possibly the way that cover gets calculated or something, and when you're firing from an elevated position or something like that. I don't know. It just feels like it's not that good compared to other green cover, like these stone walls, for example. I don't know enough about stats and kind of like the game engine and that kind of thing to be able to give a really informed analysis of why that is, but I just know that it just happens to be the case. Riflemen probably going to get forced back over here. Actually, there are more riflemen moving up to support. It looks like, oh geez, Shrek sniped. Looks like he was kind of moving around, trying to make sure that his opponent wasn't going to hit him with a grenade. Oh geez. Grenadiers in the retreat path. I think that rifleman squad should be fine though. Looks like he was trying to grab it on the retreat, but it didn't take quite the path that he was expecting them to. Meanwhile, we do have some reinforcement happening here. There has been a anti-tank gun para-dropped. We also have a Lux continuing to harass over here on the left side. things have kind of quieted down a little bit. I'm surprised he's not going in harder with that Sherman. I know he's afraid of hitting a mine. Certainly if he were to hit a mine in front of a pack, that would be disastrous. He needs to do a little bit of screaming with that minesweeper, but his window of opportunity to take out that looks, just hunt it down and kill it is running out. And he's kind of spreading himself out. It looks like he doesn't really have like one coordinated strategy. He doesn't know for sure what he wants to do, and that's kind of hurting him. One big push, for example, on this Schwer Panzer headquarters by all of his forces would probably succeed. Even with this Panzer IV over there, I think it would succeed. Of course, now that all of this infantry is going to show up again, it might be a little more difficult. Oh man, that could have been bad. I think he dodged in the exact right direction to not lose a full squad there. Counter grenade. Squad should get away fine with one man. M20 continuing to circle around. The M20 is great for counter harassment, certainly against lone grenadier squads, for example. You can continue to bleed munitions, or if he opts not to Faust you, bleed manpower, maybe even wipe a squad on retreat if it's far enough away from base. Sherman is actually repositioning over there towards the left. We also have Ciez's infantry moving up for the cutoff. Once again, Axis have very good map control, controlling both munitions points now, as well as all 3 victory points. Or actually, no, the Allies will be harassing this one, but 2.5 victory points for quite some time. Oh, jeez. I definitely think that squad should have been wiped. I think that was a little bit lazy by the Allies there, not chasing it a little harder. And now, unfortunately, I think it might get away. No high explosive rounds either, which is... I know that he does know there's a looks on the field. The high explosive rounds will not penetrate the looks. But still, it would be good to see high explosive rounds. He's much more likely to take out some priority infantry targets than he is to need to use his Sherman against the Panzer IV, for example. The looks would be pretty much the only thing that would justify that switch, but he's nowhere near it at the moment. Looks continues its rampage over here, and that penal battalion could go down. Looks like it will get clear. We also have the American AT gun in a pretty good position here to fire on the Panzer IV. Unfortunately, its second shot missed. It is Vet 1 now, however, so it could activate Take Aim, which it does. I think it's not quite in range to hit the Panzer IV, though, unfortunately. It probably also doesn't have vision. A lot of damage going out on those penal battalions, just from the grenadiers actually. The looks is focusing down the M20, and it's unfortunate actually that there are no M20 mines anywhere. I guess he just doesn't have the munitions. He has to spend a lot of munitions on. He spent it on an M1919, and of course also on his Sherman's machine gun upgrade. He also just spent a bunch of munitions on Take Aim here. So here and there, it all starts to sort of add up. And when the Axis have held both munitions points for pretty much the whole game, can't really afford to be throwing mines down all that frequently. I think, yeah, he has one right there. It's a little far back, though. It would take a really aggressive push by that looks to hit that. Like, they would really have to be going in deep. So that's a very defensive mine. Of course, at this point in the game, it can be very difficult to lay... Oh, here's another one, actually. But it can be very difficult to lay a mine in a nice aggressive position where your opponent's very likely to hit it. It's hard to find a window of opportunity. You need to do it pretty much as soon as your M20 hits the field, after you've sort of pushed them back. Panzer IV taking a lot of damage from that, from actually 2 AT guns now. Very nice. That's not a very good retreat path for that rifle squad to be taking. That was way too overextended. I'm not sure what he was thinking. There's absolutely no way that squad's going to be getting home.
We lost an infantry unit. They got wiped out.
Oh no. I don't think he was watching that either. He just lost a rifle squad and a paratrooper squad. He absolutely could not afford for that to happen. He's really going to struggle to keep himself relevant in the game now. He does still have his M20. He has a Sherman and Jackson, so he has a pretty good vehicle, pretty good army of vehicles, and it's actually quite
300
common
points remaining.
for players to start losing infantry squads once they have to start microing vehicles. Trying to micro a bunch of vehicles and infantry at the same time is, if not difficult, maybe almost impossible, to be honest.
The supply line just got cut off.
But you've got to try and find a way to make it work, otherwise you're going to lose your vetted infantry squads, and if that happens, you're really going to struggle. Lieutenant getting focused down by a bunch of infantry over here. Sherman is moving up to retaliate, and we actually finally have high explosive rounds being loaded, I think for the first time.
The enemy is overrunning one
Although
of our
that shot
capture
missed.
points.
Still, that squad really needs to get out of there. There it goes. Meanwhile, we also have T-34-85s being called in by Coh2, so hopefully he's going to be able to make a dramatic impact with those, but I think the Allies really need to group up and make a coordinated attack at one location on the map. They keep spreading themselves out, and they're not really gaining any traction here. Panzer IV gets a little bit overextended, but I think it'll be fine. Pop smoke pioneers on the way to repair. Certainly the American is in no position to chase, so it should be fine. T-34-85s. Probing, but not really doing anything too crazy. This one's actually driving down the road all the way over here. Looks is actually Vet 2 now with 23 kills, although it's getting a little close to that Jackson. He needs to be careful. He's lucky that Jackson wasn't a little farther forward for that, or he could have been extremely in a lot of trouble. Oh, mine going off on the that was actually an M20 mine. I'm pretty sure that T-34 just shot that squad on retreat and detonated a friendly M20 mine. That's not good. It's now immobilized. In fact, that's extremely bad. That's going to leave it as sitting duck for the Panzer IV, and there's also a Panther hitting the field like the worst imaginable time. Oh my gosh. That is extremely unlucky. Oh no. M36, Jackson moving up to try and screen, but it's so damaged. Oh, that shot actually just missed. Fallschirmjäger also being popped out to Faust, I think. But the Jackson is doing massive damage to the Panther. Look at that, and it's being forced away. And the Faust didn't do enough to finish it off. What a great rescue operation by the Allies there to try and recover from that disaster. In fact, I think Ciez might have even lost to Fallschirmjäger in his attempt to follow up on that. Oh no, maybe not.
About time.
Fallschirmjäger's squad will get away. Allies are a little bit too hesitant to chase. And I think that the Allies are being generally just too conservative. They're not being aggressive enough. Every time they have an advantage, they don't press it with their Shermans and their T-34-85s. They hit the field and then they just kind of, I don't know, they don't use them as aggressively as they could. And they just give their opponents more time to react and defend. Making it really difficult for them later on. They also really need to get some repairs going on this T-34. There's a I mean, he could easily pop his vehicle crews out of these and start repairs. We do have a heavy mortar hitting the field, and that's going to be barraging the Panzerschwer headquarters. Looks continues to terrorize any attempt at harassment. We do have a rifleman squad getting forced to retreat. They will rifle grenade to damage its engine, which is always a good move. If you're afraid that it will chase you along your retreat path and wipe you on retreat, damaging its engine before retreating is a great way to spend a little bit of munitions just to play it safe. And Coh2 may not be paying attention to that squad. And there goes a Vet 3 penal battalion with an upgraded flamethrower. Yikes, these kinds of mistakes, they can't really afford to keep making them. There's pretty much no way that they're going to be able to win this, and I think Coh2 just spreads himself out all over the map. You've got a tank here, another one there, mortars, some infantry fighting for the center VP, some harassment happening here, and there's no wonder he's not able to keep track of everything he's trying to do. In fact, both of these players are. Sarantini also has a squad over there, M20 sitting over here. Some other squad sitting idle over there. It's impossible to micro 6 fronts at the same time. Nobody can do that, so I really think that these players need to coordinate their pushes a little bit better, group up, and try and actually win an engagement with a manageable army. Panther getting super aggressive, going in hard on that T-34, but it is forced back by the Jackson. Meanwhile, it looks like a full squad of Volksgrenadiers? Something just died right there. Our Obersoldaten. I think those were Obersoldaten. Ouch, that actually really hurts if that's what that was. Meanwhile, over here, M20 is actually counter-harassing these Grenadiers. He does go for the Panzerfaust, so it won't be able to chase. We'll have to pull back and get repairs. Meanwhile, here we do have the tank battles continue. T-34 is just not able to be all that aggressive. If we take a look at Chukwunoku's resources, we will see that he's got 193, so he's saving up for another call-in. Once he has 4, maybe he'll try and go in hard, but I'm not entirely sure. Plus his American teammate is really struggling at this point. Hasn't lost any vehicles yet, which is good, but their map control has been less than stellar, which is making it difficult for them to overwhelm their opponent with superior numbers. Still, they are resecuring the left side here.
Keep that M1 handy.
And the middle. Victory points, but they're quite behind. Axis still have 400 points remaining.
The enemy is overrunning one of our capture points.
So it's going to be very difficult for the Allies now, and there's no huge late game unit on the way to save them either. T-34-85s are pretty much as good as it's going to get for them. Meanwhile, if we take a look at Siberian, for example, he actually went spearheads, so Tigers are on the way. In fact, he's got more than enough fuel to call in a Tiger. It's just a matter of saving up the manpower, as he's produced 3 packs, which is going to be rather costly to reinforce, not to mention the bleed from his Grenadiers. And if we take a look at Ciez, we will see that he's going with he of course did bring in a Panther. His commander selection is Fallschirmjäger. And he actually has Tier 4 and Tier 3, no Tier 2. So I'm not sure actually what his next big purchase could be. He has a lot of options at this point. He might keep bringing in Panthers. I think that would certainly be pretty effective, given, especially against T-34-85s. He didn't want to make the same mistake as last game, where he tried to counter massive waves of Allied armor with just 1 Yag Tiger, for example. So continuing to make Panthers certainly wouldn't be a bad call. But I could see a Stuka maybe against this, for example. Or even holding out for King Tiger, I think, at this point would be doable. Airborne assault. Ooh, nice airborne assault. Kills the vehicle crew while they're repairing, leaving that Sherman pretty much helpless for a while here. Fallschirmjäger don't land nearby enough to have any chance of crewing it, unfortunately. And they pretty much instantly die. But the strafe, the strafe is doing nice damage to the American forces, and just generally just keeping the American blob pinned with whatever plane ability. Pretty much just completely shuts them down, just pushes them off the field, just buys you more and more time. 250 munitions for what he got out of it there, maybe not all that beneficial, but maybe not that much harm in doing it. He still has 43 coming in, which is quite a lot. Still has 150 munitions in the bank. Not really spending his munitions on much of anything at this point. He's got 3 Panzer Shreks. I guess he got a pintle mount for his Panther, but it's not like that's a huge munitions sink for him. There's a sniper on the field, actually. Oh. Just kidding. There was a sniper on the field, but then some Obersoldaten saw it, and well, okay, there were two snipers. Now there's only one. Panzer IV also continuing to do work against these riflemen. It does have 14 kills, so it's performing pretty well. Nothing too spectacular. Looks like he's trying to get a rifle grenade off, but that's probably not going to happen. Jackson also moving up, looking for an opening, but just not able to make anything happen, really. Soviets getting completely shut down here. Lieutenant, Med 3 Lieutenant also being forced to retreat. Looks like he should get away. The T-34 is also just barely even really being able to keep the Axis army at bay, let alone actually make a big push. And it's a shame because there's so much Allied armor. For a while there wasn't that much Axis armor, a Panzer IV and a Panther. I mean, it's something, but I mean, they certainly had the numbers advantage, but they were just too timid to pull off some kind of big push anywhere. They're just kind of sitting AFK in the base. Just sitting here and defending instead of trying to retake some territory. Oh, Jackson's out of position. Oh no. A well-positioned pack is pretty much death for a Jackson. Its acceleration is not that good. He had basically no time to react to what was happening. There was pretty much no way he was going to get out of that situation.
Enemy flanking us!
T-34 moving up. Marked vehicle actually going out on the Tiger, but just can't make anything happen here. Riflemen getting cut down. Paratroopers getting cut down. Only 75 points remaining. And CS in fact did opt to go with a second Panther, so he's definitely just going to keep that medium armor coming out and try and shut down his opponent's T-34s as hard as he can. And it's definitely working, especially with pack support, with Tiger support. Apparently this M20 is dying, so much for that.
Push your attack. They are down to 50 points.
Coh2's keeping his tanks alive, but it's not. Unit preservation is not enough. You also have to kill your enemy's stuff, and there you have it. GG, well played, being called by both sides. And that's going to conclude Game 1. So, this next game is going to be Sarantini and Coh2's last chance before they get eliminated from the Star-Crossed Cup. So without further ado, let's get started.